Hey y'all. So I know generally speaking, I like to show Jen Psaki and her just mouthful of lies. And that's something that's really disheartened me lately, as I discussed before, is the politicians and the media get to lie without any consequence whatsoever. And no one holds them accountable when they do lie for their lies. For example, when the president said that the 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 new law in Georgia decreased voting hours. It's a complete, utter lie. It didn't. It increased it. So I'm in Georgia and I'm a poll worker, and we work the polls 7 to 7, which is the more or the same as any other state in the United States. So he just flat out lied about that. No one would say, hey, Joe, remember when you said, and how the Washington Compost said that was 4 Pinocchios? They said something to Jen Psaki about it, but she just lied. She babbled her way through an explanation that made no sense whatsoever. The lying has got completely out of hand. It's to the point where it's spread over into Dr. Fauci. That's the last time you'll ever hear me call him that, because he has lost that honorary degree, in my opinion. He is a propagandist, he is a politician, and he keeps moving the goalpost and lying through his teeth and through his mask just like the rest of them. Flat out liar. And when they get called on it, you get this crazy woman from California telling Jim Jordan to shut his mouth. Somebody needs to tell her to shut her mouth. Get up in her face and shut your mouth, just like she said to do. It'll never happen, though. Not until they push us to our breaking point, which is what their plan is, to push us to a breaking point. So the lies continue. Biden did this. The dictator he is, who is incapable of allowing Congress to do anything on their own. Everything that's getting passed is through his executive order or a bill that he proposed, like the American Rescue Plan. Came from the White House. Didn't come from the legislative branch of a government. This infrastructure plan, which isn't really an infrastructure plan, it's coming from him. It's not coming from the legislative branch of Congress, which is where our laws are supposed to come from. It's where our stuff is supposed to come from, and then he signs off on it. Instead, he is signing off on more executive orders than any president in the history of the United States, after saying that only dictators do that. With the hypocrisy, the freaking hypocrisy there. Why doesn't someone say, Mr. President, remember when you said, only dictators do what you're doing right now? How do you square that, which is their new way? I hate these new words, like the optics of that is bad. How do you square that with what you said about only dictators sign EOs, that you got to get the votes? Man, come on, man, you got to get the votes. I'm going to get the votes. You didn't get the votes. So you got a stack of executive orders so tall on your desk that you have to peek around for the cameras to see you. Who's going to hold him accountable for this? Hopefully the voters will. But right now, the media is just covering it all up. So he did a press conference on this gun legislation that he's proposing. And lo and behold, there's another shooting last night that's going to fit right into his maniacal plan. Whoa, another shooting. See what I tell you? We need to outlaw guns that have a brace on them because it makes them more accurate. And if they're more accurate, they're more deadly. Well, what the fuck is a scope for? Makes it more accurate. You're going to get rid of scopes? This man is just completely 100% out of his mind, reading whatever they put in front of it. So I'll listen to Dan Bongino, and we're going to break, and we're going to let Dan Bongino explain he did a lie meter. I love this guy. He's hilarious. He's a former New York police officer. He's also a former Secret Serviceman. He was on training, and then he was on presidential detail. And so he knows what's going on out there. He's not an idiot like most of the people talking out there. They have no experience whatsoever for what goes on in real life on the streets. So we're going to let him talk about his deal, And then he breaks down, I think it was 10 lies. I'm going to put this show in a link in the comments below, or in the, you know what I'm saying, something you can click on and you can go to the show, because this is a great show. And I'm not going to go through his breakdown of each lie. I'm just going to show you how the points that he was making with the 10 lies, and then I'll comment on very briefly on that, and then we're going to go for the day. I'm not going to show Jen Psaki. Look at that fire behind my head. Burning my head. Why they got a roaring fire on the beach in the middle of the day? That must be where Hillary's hard drives are. Anyway, okay. Here we go.
All right, let's get right to Joe Biden's dreadful speech yesterday. So Guy was kind enough to put together a BS counter. So let's get right to it. Joe Biden in the Rose Garden giving a dreadful, outrageous, lying speech about everything wrong with the Democrat Party and guns. Guy did a BS counter. You can see it at rumble.com/Bongino. You can listen to it here as the BS counter ding, ding, dings each time. Check this out.
Come on, man. Nothing I'm about to recommend in any way impinges on the Second Amendment. They're phony arguments suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. We call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons. So the idea is just bizarre to suggest that some of the things we're recommending are contrary to the Constitution. We want to treat pistols, modified with stabilizing braces, with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace shook on a pencil essentially makes that pistol a hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle. As a result, it's more lethal, effectively turning it into a short-barreled rifle.
So does a scope and sights.
Most people don't know it. You walk into a store and you buy a gun, you have a background check. But you go to
Most
a
people
gun
don't
show,
know.
you can buy whatever you want and no background check.
Liar.
But what most people don't realize, the only industry in America, $1 billion industry, that can't be sued,
Liar.
has exempt from being sued,
Liar.
are gun manufacturers.
Thank you, very well. Very well. We're going to go through that one by one. I don't have enough time, unfortunately, in my hour-long program to debunk every single word emanating from his soup cooler because we were all lies. So I'm going to just focus on the big lies. I'm sorry I have to let the little lies go, but I'm going to focus on the big ones because really nothing he said was true.
All right, so let's go with no amendment is absolute. Really? What he's saying is that every amendment to the Constitution is as fragile as a piece of crystal in a China. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's saying that the amendments aren't absolute. Let's tell America that the 13th Amendment is not absolute. It's not set in stone. Let's do that. Let's tell them, hey, guys, 13th Amendment, not set in stone. What's the 13th Amendment? Why, that's the amendment that abolished slavery, not set in stone. I think we'll circle back on that amendment, huh, Joe? And let your racist party abolish the 13th Amendment, since it's not absolute. Scary, huh? Very scary. Very scary. So I think the thing that will make us listen to you, Mr. Liar of the United States, when you demand that your son, Hunter, be arrested for lying on his gun application form, his federal gun application form that he bold-faced lied on, when you demand for his arrest, maybe we'll listen to you. But guess what? You're not going to do that because there's that double standard. And we know that you are full of shit. And you're not going to do what you say you're going to do. This is all just fanfare. This is, hey, look at me. This is what we're going to do about guns. We're going to get a brace that goes on a pistol and it makes it more accurate, more deadly. I mean, that is the purpose of every freaking gun out there, is to be deadly. Don't mix words about it. That's what a gun's for, is to kill. It's not a deterrent. You can't have the frame of mind that, hey, I got this gun, but I'm not going to put any bullets in it. I mean, if a gun was a deterrent, you wouldn't need any bullets because all you need is to flash that piece of iron. No, a gun is supposed to be deadly. And what makes your gun more accurate? Well, the longer the barrel, the easier it is to aim. If you have sights on it that you line up, the easier it is to aim. If you put a scope on it, the easier it is to aim. So why aren't you outlawing those things? Why aren't you outlawing scopes and sights? And let's make the gun as inaccurate as we can so that when you shoot it, you have no freaking idea where the bullet's going to go. That's a great idea, Joe. Let's just make the barrel of a gun do this so that when the bullet comes out, it does this, so it's less accurate. Let's make all guns less accurate. Sounds great, Joe. You freaking idiot. Let's look at what happened at the Capitol and how many people died at the Capitol and how many guns were involved at the Capitol. Okay, so there are 5 people, right, who died. Let's go with Kevin Greason and Benjamin Phillips. Those 2 people, both of them died of a heart attack. Had nothing to do with a weapon. Rosanne Boylan, the propaganda machine said she died by being trampled from the insurrectionists. She was there, part of it all. She deserved it. Got trampled. No, what happened was she died of a drug overdose. What? Yeah. So that's 3 people. The officer, Sicknick, who they just lied about how he died, said it was a bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher. Lie. That was a downright lie. The person who propagated that lie needs to be held up in front of the entire country with signs all around him or her saying this person is a liar and cannot be trusted because they incited hate towards the people that were at the Capitol, saying that they bludgeoned it off. Didn't happen. It's a lie. It's a freaking lie. All right? The only person that was killed, the only homicide, was Ashley Babbitt. Was killed by a man we'll never know who he was. We'll never know what was going through. You know what? They closed the investigation. It will be sealed, and none of us are going to know anything about it. If she was black, what do you think would happen? How do you think that would have been handled if she was black? I don't care if she was a Trump supporter or not. All she needed to be was black. And it would have been a completely different dialogue. So these are all the causes of death as reported by Francisco Diaz, the DC Chief Medical Examiner. That is the final word, how these people died. All right. Guns, Joe. Insurrection at the Capitol. We need to get a handle on it. We need to figure out, what the heck's going on here. Corn pop, leg had hair on it, would stand up, and it was blonde. And oh, what, huh? I'm president again? Yay. You ever notice how he's doing this all the time? I wonder if on his cue cards it says touchdown and he starts to go, we will, Corn Pop. Corn Pop. I got a note on here about demanding equity. We need to demand equity in the NBA and the NFL and make sure that at least the population of those people playing the sports is reflective of the population of the United States. And black people represent 13% of people in the United States. So the NFL should have 13% black people, as well as the NBA. 13% black people. Got nothing to do with guns, but for some reason it's on here. So Joe likes to talk about the gun show exception, which is a flat out lie. There is no gun show exception. The only exception to them getting your name on a list is if it's a private sale. And I don't know if that varies state to state. I know in Georgia, I can sell my neighbor a gun and not have to worry about any paperwork, although most smart people have paperwork. They make sure the person's not a felon. They get a copy of bill of sale and they get a copy of their license so that if the ATF ever comes to them or the police ever come to them and say, hey, what happened to that gun? They're like, I sold it to Joe Schmo. He lives across the street. Here's my bill of sale. Here's a copy of his driver's license. I sold it for $400. He took me to town because that gun was worth $800. We all know. So he's trying to say that if you go to a gun show, you can just buy anything you want. Literally what he said, that is a bold-faced lie. A flat-out bold-faced lie. You can't buy whatever you want at a gun show without any kind of paper trail. That's a bold-faced lie. The only gun show exception is if you go there and you fill out your paperwork and you lie on your paperwork and you get caught lying on your paperwork and your name is Hunter Biden, then nothing's going to happen to you. That is the only exception to federal gun law. Who you are, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, got away with it, will continue to get away with it. Joe, we're not going to listen to a word you say. You're a fucking liar.